Hello and welcome to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Nina Adio, a social media marketing expert specific to the wedding industry. On this show, I discuss tips to help you DIY your social media, as well as getting the confidence and income to outsource it. Thank you for allowing this episode to come through on your Bluetooth, your car radio, wherever it may be you're listening from today. Now, let's take your wedding business to the next level. Okay, guys, who is ready for another epic interview here at the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast? Is that considered poor taste to call interviews that I'm conducting epic? But I did it. So here we go. Today I am being joined by the other half of Wedding Industry Ads. We had Whitney Hodges on a few weeks ago, and now today we have Daniela E. Justice on, who is talking to us all about why Google and Meta ads are the ultimate power couple for wedding pros. We haven't really done too many deep dives on this podcast regarding Google, so I think you're going to really love this conversation and you're going to love Daniela. So I asked Daniela for some info about herself and some fun facts in there too, which I think you're going to find really interesting. Daniela E. Justice is a Venezuelan American artist born and raised in Pittsburgh, PA. She has a BFA in sculpture from the University of Florida with minors in French and art history. Like, wow. But Daniela's left the academic world to find a meaningful way to make art, personal connections, and a living wage on her own terms, which she has found through entrepreneurship, which I think a lot of us can relate to with our own journeys of entrepreneurship in the wedding industry. On a typical day, you'll find Daniela working from her home in West Texas, preparing a ritual matcha and geeking out over digital marketing and business strategy. That's why I get along with her so well. Whenever she can, Daniela also loves traveling with her husband and pup, exploring the great outdoors, discovering flavorful cuisine, and visiting museums. So, Daniela has been really taking to the wedding industry world and learning what a great community we are. And she and Whitney are creating great work and results through their business, Wedding Industry Ads. So let's just get right to the conversation about the ultimate power couple, Google and Meta ads for your wedding business with Daniela E. Justice. Okay, guys, the wait is over. I said when we chatted with Whitney Hodges from Wedding Industry Ads that we would meet the other half of this ultimate power couple, Daniela Justice. Daniela, hello. Where are you coming from today?
Hi, Nina. Thank you so much for having me. I am based in Lubbock, Texas, and so that's where we are today.
Well, I'm really excited to talk to you today because you really can speak about something that I can't, let's just say. I really focus a lot on the organic marketing, and there's a time and a place for that. But you have such knowledge on the digital marketing space, especially with Google and Meta. And I know you've worked in the past with coaches and, of course, with wedding venues and professionals. So let's start off by hearing, what do you like about working with the wedding industry?
Yeah, so I do have a background working with coaches in the online space, a lot of course creators and consultants who have developed digital products, and they usually have very complex funnels with lots of different pathways for the customer journey, a lot of relationship building, and really, really long sales cycles. So we think sales cycles in the wedding industry are getting longer. Talk about the high ticket coaching space, you're looking at sometimes a year or two before somebody converts from their first point of entry. So what's been really wonderful about working in the wedding industry is that it's a lot more direct what services are available for offer, and the pathways from never heard of you before to sign me up are a lot more direct. The other thing that I have noticed too is that The service providers themselves in the wedding industry are just so wonderful to work with. They're really creative, they're passionate about what it is that they do. They get to participate in the couple's special day, and you can really see the attention to detail that they bring to the work that they do, which I just adore. And so we love to get to help those service providers connect with couples who are going to really appreciate everything that they bring to the table.
You're absolutely right about the passion. I like to joke that the wedding industry can be like Hotel California, where you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. It's just once it's a part of you, it is a part of you. And it's a very passion fueled industry. And something you brought up was about the time sequence behind sales and
Mhm.
knowing that in the wedding industry you're dealing with a very specific time frame. Let's say it's anywhere on the short end 6 months to 2+ years. So is that time frame important for a wedding professional to consider when it comes to investing in ads?
Yeah, great question. And I would say, yes, it is important to consider. One of the cool things about advertising is it allows you to do a lot of really precise targeting, especially platforms. So, like Meta platforms, your Facebook and Instagram parent company, they collect a lot of information about their users. And from a consumer's perspective, it can be a little bit scary and a little bit icky. From a marketing and advertising perspective, it is an incredibly powerful tool to help you connect with the right people at the right time in their life, at the right moment when they're recently engaged, or maybe they're in a long-term relationship that they're getting closer to, thinking about planning a wedding. And then you can get really granular. There are even targeting options, I think you can say, where somebody's been engaged in the past 3 months. So, like, right when that ring gets on the finger, how can we capture them in that moment? That's what's really powerful about working with advertising, is that you can not only track that customer journey start to finish, but you can really meet people right where they're at in terms of their timeline, and make sure that you build in enough time to really build a relationship, build trust, and let them see that you're the person who they ultimately want to work with, whether they're the type who likes to plan 2 years in advance, or maybe they have their whole wedding plan before they're even in the relationship, right? There are some of those people as well. But then there are some who really just kind of uh, in the moment realize, okay, well, now I guess I need to start, looking into these things. And that's where you can really connect with them based on the engagement that they're having with your other content.
That's outrageous because it also shows how, depending on where your wedding business falls in the cycle. For example, a venue's booked first, a photo booth or invitations are booked later. So they can use that targeting to be a part of the strategy. And so what I'm taking away is that targeting is a big reason why wedding professionals should be considering ads as part of
Yes.
their lead
I
strategy.
think especially if they are using organic social media platforms already. If you're already investing in creating content for Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn, maybe not so much, but the social platforms where people are spending time, TikTok as well, but they have a newer advertising platform that is a little less reliable, I would say, at this point. It's getting better, but for now, we prefer Meta. Um, but my point is that the targeting options on Meta are extremely sophisticated, and they work great for nurturing leads and for connecting with people in those right moments, where they're sharing information about their lives and kind of where they're at in their timeline in a personal use of the platform environment. But then we get to kind of tap into that and become visible at the right time for those people.
So, would you say it's important to be on Meta, not just for what we're thinking, which is because that's where we post, right? But because of how people are using Meta, how the customers are using it, rather?
I think so, because when you're posting organically on Meta, the way I like to describe it is that you'll get a certain amount of reach based on what you're engaging with as well, and sort of what the algorithm is learning about you and the type of content that you're sharing. But going viral is not necessarily going to connect you with ideal clients. It might connect you with a lot of people who really think your photos are beautiful and just enjoy spending time on the app and scrolling forever. Whereas with the different targeting and different campaign objectives available in the Meta platform, you can make sure that your content is getting in front of people who are more likely to take the desired action that you want them to take. And really, business conversations don't take place on the app, they take place off of the app. And so how can you pull people from the app into your ecosystem, whether it's by submitting an inquiry form or sending you an email or a phone call even, however it is that you capture leads. And sometimes those conversations can start in the DMs, things like that. So it's still really powerful for connecting with people. But I really think the value from using Meta organically is that it becomes a living and breathing portfolio of your work, who you are, what you do, so that when people do connect with you, they can scroll and they can binge all of your content and they can get a good, well-rounded idea of what your values are, what services you offer, what your process is, how you're a little different from other people, different results that you've been able to achieve for your clients. That's where I think the real power comes from, the organic side of social media.
Fantastic. And you brought up the conversation kind of happening off the platform. So I just want to let everyone know listening to keep listening, because we're going to get into how wedding industry ads really works to kind of get that lead process going. But before we get there, I want to ask to pivot a bit now towards the Google side of it. Why is, yeah, that's Daniela's jam, Google. Why is Google so important? Not just Meta, but now let's talk about Google.
Yes. So here's the way I like to position this initially, is that there are really two different types of advertising platforms in the digital space. There's the social media advertising platforms, Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. Then there's the search engine platforms, Google, YouTube, Pinterest. So the people who are searching, the way that those advertising platforms is a little bit different. They optimize based on keywords. So, and we can talk a little bit about the difference between ad keywords versus SEO. But when it comes to the advertising platform, what we have found is that a lot of people on search engines have a higher intent to find solutions, to find service providers in their area. They are looking, for, what is the best venue in Lubbock, Texas? Or where can I find, who is the best hairstylist for weddings in my region? If they don't have, a network of referrals, Google's really going to be where they're searching first. And what we see from that platform is highly motivated leads who are ready to find you. Whereas Meta platforms are really powerful for nurturing those initial connections, for building relationships, and for then getting people to take that next step if they're not going to take it independently from Google.
So, how would, if somebody's listening to this and they're like, great, I want to work on my keywords, what would their next step be?
Yeah, so I think I would say with advertising keywords, that's where you're really looking for those high intent keywords versus with SEO, a lot of the keywords, and I'm not an SEO expert, so I don't want to put my foot in my mouth here, but my understanding is that on that side, it's much more about ranking with the organic search, and the intent is not as high. So it's more about, how do I stand out in my market? How can I use keywords that are a little bit more niche with SEO to make sure that I'm distinguished from others? With ads, that's where you really want to get in front of people who are looking for what it is that you have to offer, and not kind of almost skipping the niceties and going straight for the punch and saying, here we go. This is my inquiry form. Here's why you need to work with us. Let's start the conversation.
I love that, because what I do is all about the niceties. I
And
have
you
to
can still be
groom them
nice.
and nurture them. And it's a long-term game, but this, it's like, look, let's just do it. We're
Yeah.
getting married, let's do it. So I love that example. Now, your business, Wedding Industry Ads, is a partnership, and you and Whitney do great work individually, but together you're a full package. So, the same here goes with Google and Meta Ads. So, can you explain why you guys, Wedding Industry Ads, refer to Google and Meta together as the ultimate power couple?
Yeah. So part of it is just having fun with messaging, right? We're in this great industry where, there's a lot of love and a lot of, great partnerships and complementary traits. And we just felt that that applied so beautifully to this Meta and Google pairing. And I think the real power comes from when you're running both search and social ads together. So think of it this way. Somebody is searching for, let's say a florist in their area, for example, and maybe they hit their website, but they're searching in the car, or maybe they're, somewhere where they can't actually fill out an inquiry form or take that next step in the moment. But they landed on your website, so they're interested in what it is that you have to offer. How do we reconnect with them if we don't have their email address? What's great about having tracking systems in place and some tech on the back end means that you can then start showing up in their news feed on the social media platforms where they're already spending time after that initial touch point on the website. And so that's where you can have some really cool layering happening, where the Google ads, for example, are set up to capture people who are initially searching, who have high intent, and maybe for those who don't take action right away, now we can follow up with them, stay top of mind, make sure that they're seeing our content. Next thing you know, they're going to be a follower, they're in the DMs, and then they do remember to spend time on submitting that inquiry form when they have the time available because you're still top of mind.
So one really helps to further nurture the other. So even though it's going to be, I'm imagining, and you can walk us through this, an
Sure.
additional ad investment because they're doing both, but one seems to pick up the slack for the other, where if there's a drop lead or things like that.
Exactly. And they really complement each other in that way. Meta is really wonderful for building relationships. It gives you visuals. And so you're able to share not only beautiful pictures of the work that you do, but also messages in video format. And that's a really engaging way to start building trust with your potential clients. Whereas on Google, it's really so keyword focused. There's not a lot of visual elements. You've seen the searches pop up. Sometimes there's a little icon, but it's, tiny on the screen. It's really more about matching the content, matching the intent with that search result to whoever is putting in the keywords of what it is they're looking for. I think the other sort of, it's like you get the best of both worlds. But I do want to mention that you don't have to go all in on both platforms right away. I would say if you are active on social media already, then I think that's a great place to start. Meta can be a really powerful lead generation platform even without Google. And then on the other side, if you have a really robust website, and or even just a really great landing page that has a clear call to action, but maybe you're not super active on socials, then you can start with just Google and get a great lead capture before you even, expand your marketing into social media platforms.
Great. So let's take what you said there and kind of just break it down. Let's start with Meta. What would a wedding professional, what would you recommend they have in place before they start advertising with Meta?
Yeah. Um, First things first, having the budget available to put into ads. Now, it doesn't have to be a huge budget. I would recommend, if you can put $10 a day towards Meta ads, you can have a really successful campaign. So that's around $300 a month. And that's what some people pay for certain software subscriptions that are supporting their businesses. And if you think about, actually, when we're talking about budget, I'm sorry to deviate from your question a little bit, but I would say the first thing to consider is, what is a lead worth to your business? What is a new client worth to your business? If one client is someone that you can charge, $1,500, $3,000, $10,000, then investing a little bit into ads to acquire that client is going to save you time, and it's going to be well worth the investment in terms of the ROI from getting that client.
I'm so
Um,
glad you said that because as you were talking, I did the math of like, if we did 300 a month times 12, when you first hear 300 a month, you're like, but then that's 3,600 for the year. And chances are, I mean, if you booked one wedding, you've made that back, but you're probably going to book more than one doing this the entire year. I'm at least confident of that. So actually, I think viewing it in the grander scheme actually makes it seem much less of a investment in terms of
Mm.
your annual advertising budget.
Totally. And I love the word investment because I think that, if we think about, let's say the stock market, for example, if I put $300 a month into the stock market, I'm going to average a 10% return over the course of 10 years, right? It's a long game and it's not that huge of a return. But back to your point of if I'm spending $300 a month and one client pays me 3,000, that's a 10 times return on my investment in 30 days. I would much rather,
Yeah.
as a beginning service provider or as someone who's just getting started with advertising, I would much rather invest in myself than in the market in that way.
And how easy is it to change how much you're investing, whether it's up or down as you get started?
It's very easy. It's the toggle of a little button.
I
It's
love
so easy to turn ads on and off.
that.
So if you're not happy with the results, I would say if you are spending money on ads, keep an eye on it, make sure that you're getting the
Yeah.
results that you want and definitely be measuring that. But the other benefit of running ads is the data that you get. So it's not always just the clients or the leads as the outcome. It's that insight into what is my customer behavior? What journey are they going on? Where are they clicking first? What is that first point of contact and how does it lead to the next one? But back to your initial question about when to run meta ads, I would say if you are active on Facebook or Instagram, either platform really, it's a good time to get started because it shows that you already have some content in the algorithm. I would not recommend starting on Meta if the last post you made was, Father's Day of
Yep.
2023, right? You want to have an active presence on there, but it doesn't mean that you need to be posting every day. And then the other thing I would suggest having in place before starting to run ads is a clear next step. So either a clear inquiry form pathway with some sort of automated response or a very quick, confirmation that we've received your inquiry. What we've seen is that, the quicker that you can respond, the better, even if it means automations can still be very personalized and still feel very customized. I know that that's something that we run into a lot with our clients is that they really want to make sure that their leads feel um, supported from that initial piece or that initial moment of contact. So just having a clear path or a clear step, first step that you're inviting your leads to take to then turn them into clients.
Fantastic. And we're gonna, like I said earlier, get more into that part because I think it's such a big piece of what you do. But before we go there, what
Yeah.
would somebody need in order to effectively start with Google Ads?
Yeah. So with Google Ads, I would say it's great to have a dedicated landing page for Google Ads rather than you can very successfully run ads to a website, especially if it's designed for conversions or if it's designed in a way where the user can sort of navigate the site and learn more information about you, but there are consistent and clear calls to action on throughout the website so that you're inviting them to take the next step. But why we recommend a dedicated landing page for Google Ads specifically is that first reason is those leads are already highly motivated. So we don't want to distract them with too many options. We don't want to send them on a treasure hunt to find where our contact form is on the site. We want to make it so easy for them to take the next step, whether it's booking a call, submitting the form, and contacting you. So the dedicated landing page is similar to a website where it has a lot of the same information, who you are, what you do, who you serve, who maybe you don't serve, and what's available. And you can choose if you want to include your pricing or not. But then what's unique about a landing page is it does not have the navigation bar that a website would have. So there really should not be any external links on the landing page. All of the direction should be just to that one next step. apply to work with us, book a call, book a tour, whatever your one call to action is, that's what you want to have throughout that page so that it's really clear what that person needs to do next. And they're more likely to take that step and not click over to your gallery and then end up on your Instagram and then they're scrolling and they get lost forever.
Yes, it is. I always try to stress that you want as any click you get from an online user is hard to get. So you want to minimize how many clicks they have to do, because if they click your ad and get to your website and then they have to click again to contact you, and then they have to click again to pick what they want to contact you about or whatever it is, you may lose them. That first click is the only guaranteed click you're getting. So you want to simplify it as much as possible. So that was such a great answer.
Thank you. I will say this much. Within Google alone, there are still retargeting capabilities. So you don't necessarily need Meta to be the platform that retargets those leads that hit your page. Usually what we set up is we'll do search campaigns for the top of funnel. So for the cold people who have never heard of you before, who are entering in the search bar so that you rank very highly in the results page for them. But then once somebody hits your page, similar to Meta, there's different tracking, with Tag Manager and Google Analytics, we want to make sure that we're paying attention to who's hitting your page. There are ways that we can set up retargeting audiences within Google, and that's typically where we then build out a display campaign, which does allow you to include some really fun visuals and a little bit more messaging. They're those ads that pop up on the sidebar of another website that you might be on, or, just kind of those little placements all over other websites that you visit. Kind of, again, staying top of mind for the search that you already made before and inviting you to come back.
So I can feel people or hear them in my head listening to us, but panicking about the budget, the cost, the money, because not only is it the paying for the ads, but we're hearing all these great terms and retargeting and the analyzing the data and everything. But can you debunk some myths regarding the investment behind online advertising? We kind of went into it a bit with the return on investment, but what else would you say?
Yeah, great question. When it comes to, so I do think when you're determining what your budget is for ads, it's really what you're comfortable investing in information at first. That's how I would approach it.
Well, some things I wanted to talk about were that in order to be able to do this yourself effectively, there's the analyzing the data, the retargeting. What are some of the things you guys take care of that would be an incentive to work with somebody full service as opposed to doing it themselves? I know you guys teach for doing both, so sorry, I'll rephrase the question, but I want to mention you
That's
guys are going to
helpful.
be part of Brandy Gar's Wedding Pro CEO Summit teaching about this, and you guys were in the Wedding Summit series. So you do teach on people DIYing it, but what is the benefit of outsourcing it to you guys?
I like to compare advertising or whenever you're outsourcing a service like this. I think it's important to understand what it is you're asking somebody else to do for you. So having at least an understanding of the lay of the land, an understanding of what you're comfortable investing, but you do not need to be an expert in order for ads to work for you, especially if you're hiring experts to work for you. The comparison I like to make is with taxes, actually. So when you're, fresh out of college, you might be using TurboTax or a service like that. You kind of
I
DIY
do
it, you
know.
punch in your W-2 information. But, as you kind of grow up and your financial situation becomes more complex, eventually you want to work with a CPA because the risks are involved when you're investing money, real money in something. Are bigger, right? And so as your budget increases, that's where I would strongly recommend working with a professional. Or if you have if you just do not have the time at all to learn this yourself, definitely start off working with somebody who can help you with it. But when is it appropriate to DIY? I would say if you have, if you're working with, let's say it this way, ads have a lot of different purposes. So not all ads are created equally. You can utilize ads for active lead generation. You can also utilize ads in a really low budget passive capacity to nurture your leads for as little as $1 a day behind each ad. And so if your budget is somewhere in like the $3 to $5 a day range, $10 a day, then I think absolutely explore working with ads yourself. I think that that's where, or you can work with someone like us in we offer a VIP day where we work with service providers it's a done in a day setup. We build out your campaigns for you, and then we empower you with the resources that you need in order to monitor them, optimize them over time, keep an eye on things. If you need our ongoing support, we're happy to offer it. But really the intention behind this offer is to help you set things up correctly the first time so that you're not kind of going at it in the dark. I would say then from the Google Ads side, that platform is a little more challenging to DIY, to be honest. If you have, $500 a month to put towards Google Ads, then you're in a really good position to get some great traction out the gate. Some of our clients who are getting really wonderful results, they're spending closer to $1,000 each month on each platform. So when you're, again, thinking about what a client is worth to you, this venue in particular that I'm talking about, they spend $2,000 to $2,500 a month on ads. Sometimes they'll spend a little bit more if they're promoting an open house that they have coming out, something like that. But they get one client booking on a Saturday, and that's $11,000 in the bank. And so when you really take that big picture in mind, keep the big picture in mind with ads, then you can really see tremendous results on the back end.
It's
I think
almost,
that's, sorry,
no,
one
no,
more
no.
point about this. I think what's so powerful about being in the wedding industry space, wedding service providers, their services are priced in a way that ads make sense. Not every service provider makes sense for ads to be running. If you're, let's say, I'm trying to think of something outside of the industry. Let's say you're a plumber
Mhm.
and your service call is, $90, right? Obviously, if you have like big projects, those are going to be expensive projects. But if you're just going to check on a leaky pipe and you charge your $90, I don't know that it would make sense or that you would get a great ROI from ads for a service like that. But because the price points that we're talking about in the wedding industry are very often several hundreds of dollars, if not several thousands of dollars, if not pushing 5 figures,
Mhm.
then that's why I think investing in ads makes so much sense, because you can be so precise about who it is that you want to connect with and make sure that you're getting really high quality leads in your pipeline through your funnel and booking on your calendar.
You really brought perspective to me when you were talking about, the even on the high end of ad costs. So like you said with the 2000 and then getting the $11,000 wedding, it's almost if you view it kind of as a reverse commission. The commission's
Mm-hmm.
paid out first, and I really do speak about my Wedding Summit series topic is about social media being part of your sales team,
Yes.
and so this is
Yes.
just the sales team commission, for getting that lead and for getting that booking.
I love that approach. And I think what's so cool about pairing ads with social media is that you get the benefit of being able to share so much curated and strategic information that help really mitigate the objections that might come up on a sales call. And if you have it set up well, you can make those sales conversations really smooth and very easy, where you're not answering questions about what it is you do and what the price is and whether or not they need it. It's more questions about, do you have availability?
Yes.
When can we get started?
Hmm.
And those are the fun questions that you like to get when you're pitching a new lead.
Yes, and speaking of leads, what I wanted to talk about was your lead lock system, which I think is a huge incentive for working with you guys. So can you explain what that is for everybody listening?
Yeah, so lead lock is a it's a lead management system. So think of your CRM like Honeybook or Dubsado or something of the like. That is where you take your clients through a process. And sometimes you use those for your lead forms as well, but it's really more a client management system. So think of LeadLock as the extension of what happens before somebody becomes a client. It's your lead management system, and it includes a lot of capabilities in terms of ability to build landing pages and set up email automations, forms, calendars, all kinds of things. And so it's a really robust platform. But I would say my favorite parts of it, and probably the most exciting parts of it, are it integrates with Google. So it has a really amazing ability for you to not just show up on, search and make sure that all of your information is accurate everywhere, but you can respond to reviews. You can request reviews in an automated way. It has the ability to build that dedicated landing page, like I was talking about earlier, where you can have a really focused place to send ads traffic. And the reporting inside of the platform is really powerful. So as you start investing in ads, investing in marketing, and really building your business, that's when it's time to start paying attention to the numbers. And I know as creatives, it can be really challenging, and it's like, not the fun part. And that's why relying on a platform like this makes it easy, because it gives you these beautiful visual dashboards with, pie charts and visual elements that help you understand what the numbers actually mean. And then the last piece I would say is that it has the capability to consolidate all of the communication into one channel. So you can be checking on your app and you can see whether somebody sends you a DM one day, but then they sent you an email the day before, but now they're calling you on the phone. You get one record of the entire communication timeline in one place. And so you don't miss little details that might be in one place or another, especially if you're working with a team. This is where that customer experience just becomes so much smoother, because they're not getting asked the same questions by different people at different times. There's this really great record of everything that you've discussed before and how to get them to that next step.
I love that, because for me, as the Instagram person for a lot of these wedding clients, sometimes I'll get somebody saying, I didn't hear back yet.
Mm.
I contacted on the website, and then I have to send it to the sales team saying, you may already have this, and then this way I don't even have to worry about poking them, because they're going to get that DM through the lead lock system.
Yeah, I think what's really cool with this lead lock system is that the automations can be so customized. Um, and as service providers in the industry, your time is best spent serving your clients. You may not always be available for a phone call. Let's say you're a photographer and it's wedding day. You don't have your phone on on you, right? Chances are you might miss a call from a potential prospect. And if you don't get back to them quickly, what we see is in this market, people often hire the first person to respond to them. So imagine, what if you got a missed call from somebody, but then immediately they receive a text that says, "Hey, I'm so sorry, I'm not available to talk right now. I'm shooting a wedding. Let me know what I can help you with, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can." If I were, a young, soon-to-be bride in my early 20s, and I, drummed up the courage to actually make a phone call,
Yeah.
right? And then I got a text back from this provider, I would be thrilled, because great, they got back to me. Now I can text them on a text. Like, that's how we prefer to communicate with people anyway. And it just makes it so easy to not lose that potential client from that initial point of contact. Those little automations, those small things that you can set up in the background to support your business, can help you so much in the long term. And the ripple effect, I think, is what's so powerful about having a platform like this in your wheelhouse.
Are the lead automations set up for the people who inquire through the ads too?
Yeah, you can set up, there's all kinds of triggers that you can set up for these automations, whether it's that they're putting in an email, or if they're calling you, or if they are sending you a DM, or similar to like a ManyChat, maybe is something that
Mhm.
your audience would be familiar with. It's similar to that, where you can set up whatever that trigger is and what you want the response to be and which platform you want that response to come through.
No lead left behind.
Yes,
I
I
love it.
love that.
So how can guys work with you? The people listening, I'm sure, whether it's the Meta VIP day or doing something full service, what are you guys offering? And whatever you say, I'm going to be linking it in the show notes.
I love it. So for now, there are really two ways that we can support you. The first way would be through one of our VIP days. And we do offer Google VIP days and Meta VIP days. And that's where we meet with you. The process is that we'll send you a questionnaire to get some background information. And then on your VIP day, that's where you get our full attention for the whole day. We'll meet in the morning, talk through a couple of things, make sure that we're connected to your accounts, and then we'll get off the call and we will all hands on deck, get your campaigns built and ready to launch for you. That means taking care of all of the tracking, all of the back end pieces, the copy, the creative, building out the campaigns, custom audiences, whole 9 yards. So you get the benefit of working with an expert ads agency without the ongoing commitment of a retainer model offer. So we can do that for on the Google platforms, the Meta platforms, or we also offer a bundle. And then the other way that we can work with you is through our full service ads management. So if it's not even something that you want to mess with, if you have the budget that you're serious and you're ready to commit to running ads for your business, to growing your business and growing your lead pool with ads, that's where our full service ads management would come into play. Again, we offer Google, Meta, or combined, and it is white glove service where we take care of everything for you. We send you beautiful reports and all of the updates and insights. And if there is anything that we notice from the data, we tell you what the numbers mean. We share the story that the numbers are telling us with you so that you don't have to interpret the spreadsheet and you can just gain those insights and make adjustments as needed and and have leads consistently coming into your business.
Great. I love that. It's like, don't let me touch it. The only reason I would consider the VIP day instead would be so I get to hang out with you guys for the day. But other than that, I have some bonus round questions. And then after that,
Amazing.
I'll let everybody know how they can find you. So,
Perfect.
kind of like fast lightning round. The best weddings have.
Ooh, snacks before dinner.
Ooh, okay, good, good. All right.
Oh, and live music. I have to say also
Ah,
live music.
live music does make a difference.
I think when you said that these were quick, but I'm a long form
Yeah,
girly, so I'm going to give a
yeah.
full answer. I do think, though, really the best weddings have thoughtful attention to detail
Mm,
that comes through the little things that you don't talk about, but you notice.
notice.
Small details, I think, can make a world of difference. A little tray of mints in the bathroom,
Yeah.
just like those little things that it's like somebody really thought about making this day special for everybody, not just the bride and groom or
Yeah.
the couple.
Great answer. How about cocktail hour or dessert hour?
Cocktail hour. Yeah.
What was the last book you read?
You know what, I'm reading it still, and it's called Who Not How.
Ooh,
It's a business book by Dan Sullivan, and it's all about teamwork. It's
love
really
it.
great.
Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic. When you're in the zone, you're listening to.
Oh, I can't listen to music when I'm working.
Really?
I am one of those people, unless I'm doing design work. If I'm doing design
Yeah.
work, I can listen to music, but it can't have lyrics. If I'm doing any sort of writing, communicating, that's what a lot of my work is. And so I have to have pretty well complete silence or just a fan in the corner or something
Some white noise.
to keep me focused. And that's really where my best in the zone work
Mhm.
comes through. I also, when I'm not, just to give like a
Yeah, yeah.
actual answer, I love listening to podcasts. So that's what I gravitate towards. And then when I am listening to music, it's, a short list of favorite songs that I play on repeat.
So, what are some of your favorite podcasts?
If I had to pick one, um, the one that I've been listening to the longest, I would say, is Ellen Yin's Cubicle to CEO. Is a wonderful
Ooh,
podcast where her tagline is that she asks entrepreneurs the business questions that you can't Google. So I'm a business nerd. I'm an entrepreneur, like a serial entrepreneur. I love learning about other businesses. And what I really value from her podcast is the financial transparency. So when I first started listening to her, she was sharing quarterly income reports, and a lot of online businesses, especially in the coaching space, there's misconceptions about numbers. There's
Mhm.
all kinds of kind of craziness, big claims about income.
Yes,
And my
post
first
this
question,
faceless reel and you will make a
and you'll make
million
$1 million.
dollars.
And I'm like, but how much did you spend on ads, right? Like that's where, I feel like there's so much misinformation. I really appreciate from this Ellenian's podcast, the transparency and the way that she really digs deep with her guests. It's a
I'll
good
have to
one.
check it out. I'm a business nerd too. So what is your favorite, or who is your favorite ultimate power couple?
Ooh,
I know I'm trying to think
that's
of
a
my
good
own answer. I'm like, this morning I was chatting with my husband about being a kid and loving the green and pink ranger, Tommy and Kimberly
Oh,
together. So they're my new answer for the ultimate power couple.
that's so funny because I have to be honest, the first like two names that came to mind were Simon and Garfunkel, which is not like a
Yes.
not a what you would think of as a power couple, but I think um I love their music and
Yeah,
the way
there's an
that the
argument for it that they
yeah.
certainly could be. So I accept it. I accept it. I
Well,
will
yes.
have on social media, where can everybody find you, Daniela?
So you can find me on wedding industry ads, just at wedding industry ads, or you can also find me personally at Daniela E. Justice.
Fantastic. I will have all that linked in the show notes, as well as how you can work with wedding industry ads. Daniela, this was a blast. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation.